In the last section, we put together a little bit of infrastructure inside of our project. So we set up our Web3 instance, and we've also set up an instance for our campaign factory contract. As we said just a little bit ago, we have not yet actually deployed any instances of campaigns tied to our deployed campaign factory. In other words, right now on the xbte test network, we have our campaign factory instance, but there are no campaigns tied to it whatsoever. So if we try to get a list of deployed campaigns, we're just going to get back an empty array. And as far as putting together this component to show a list of campaigns goes, well, an empty array is not that useful. So in this video, we're going to use Remix to reach out to our campaign factory and ask it to create an instance of a campaign. That will give us at least one campaign that we can work with, that we can fetch and then try to display on the screen. So essentially right now, we want to create a little bit of dummy data. That's pretty much what we're doing. So with that in mind, I'm going to flip back over to Remix. Now, I've kept Remix open all this time with my contract for the campaign factory and my campaign inside of it. If for any reason you might have closed Remix or you changed the contract or something like that, remember that you can always open up our backup, or I shouldn't even really call it our backup. It's really our written file inside of our contracts directory called campaign SOL. So you can copy everything inside of here and place it back into Remix, just in case you lost this code. All right, so once over here, we're going to use a little feature in Remix that allows us to interact with deployed contracts. On the Run tab, I'm going to make sure that I have my injected Web3 selected this time. And just to the right of that dropdown, I should see something that says xbte. So if you don't see xbte right here, if you see something that says main network or something like that, remember you can always open up MetaMask and make sure that you have the xbte test network selected on this dropdown. Once you change it to xbte, you can then refresh Remix. And once you select injected Web3 here again, you should see xbte appear. So what we're going to do is we're going to select our dropdown and change it to campaign factory. Remember just a little bit ago when we were testing out our campaign deployments through Remix, we used this @address tool right here that allowed us to take a contract that had already been deployed and sort of get a handle onto it through Remix directly. All we had to do was enter in the address of the contract that we wanted to reference. So we're going to get the address of the campaign factory that you and I deployed a couple of videos ago. We're going to enter it in here. We're going to load up that instance into Remix, and then we'll be able to tell that instance to create a campaign for us. So this is entirely circumventing the path where we might have to, maybe you would have been thinking we had to put together the UI to create a new contract and all that stuff. Nope, no need to do that. We can use Remix to interact directly with the campaign factory. So the first thing we have to do is go back over to our code editor and get the address of our deployed factory. Now I've left around the address file that contains the address that we had deployed the factory to a couple of videos ago. If you lost this address, remember we just made use of it inside of the factory.js file. And if for whatever reason you didn't copy it over here or whatever it might be, remember you can always redeploy the campaign factory by running our deploy script. All right, so back on track here, I'm going to copy the address. Then back inside of Remix, I'm going to paste the address into the @address bar right here. And then I'll make sure campaign factory is selected and I'll click on @address. All right, so this right here is our deployed campaign factory on the xbte test network. If we click on Get Deployed Campaigns, we should have an empty array of addresses because we have definitely not yet created a campaign. To create a campaign, all we have to do is enter in a minimum contribution value to the Create Campaign section right here, and then click on that button. Remember, when we click on this button right here, it's going to send an actual transaction to the xbte test network. And because it's xbte, it's going to take between 15 and 30 seconds to be completed. So I'm going to clear my transaction log over here just so I can monitor the transaction and make sure that it goes through successfully. Next, I'm going to put in a minimum contribution of 100. Remember, this is units of whey right here. So I'm saying that you must donate at least 100 whey into this campaign. And then I'll click on that button. When I click on it, MetaMask is going to appear, and it's going to try to confirm that we actually do want to execute this transaction. And yes, we definitely do, so I'm going to click on Submit. All right, so that basically is going to send out the transaction, and this is the part where we wait about 15 to 30 seconds or so. Now, no need to sit around and wait for this. I'm going to pause the video right now, and when we come back to the next video, we should see the completed transaction here in our log. So I'll see you in a minute.